Shocking, homeless man gives 8 to Hell's Angel, then 300 bikers show up at midnight. The moon hung high, casting eerie shadows down the alleyway where grit and desperation merged under the dim light of a flickering street lamp. The night was draped in chaos, alive with whispers that surged like dark waves. No one expected James, a scruffy man with a tangled mop of dirty hair and a face etched with lines of hardship, to change the course of the evening. Yet there he was, barely clutching a crumpled 8 bill, eyes wide as he approached the notorious Hell's Angel bikers, encircled in leather and tattooed bravado. They stopped haggling over whatever they were selling, the laughter fading into a taut silence as he cleared his throat, making the boldest move of his life. The ground felt heavy beneath him, like it was shaking at his feet as he handed over those $8. Gasps echoed off the brick walls. Why would a homeless man give his less-than-living wage to those infamous men? Every heart in that alley felt like it was beating louder, skipping a beat in shock. The Hell's Angels, each one a storm wrapped in denim and iron, exchanged glances, their tough guy personas cracking slightly. But then the lead biker smiled, a glint of admiration in his eye, and in that split second, something shifted. That single act of kindness ignited a wildfire of uncertainty. Rumors spread fast like the telltale signs of a brewing storm. Within hours, smartphones buzzed with alerts. Bikers ride at midnight, flashed across screens, lighting up the town with intrigue. Curiosity hung thick in the air as the clock ticked closer to 12, a slow-boiling anticipation creeping steadily through the streets. Faces filled with wonder and fear gathered at the edges of the alley, swarming like moths to a flame. That electric thrill tingled, sending shivers down spines. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect. As the night deepened, the roar of engines pierced through the calm like thunder. One by one, motorcycles rolled in, their headlights slicing through the dark. The rumbles grew louder, and the shadows shifted into a legion of leather-clad figures, wild and fierce. Confusion and excitement crackled in the crowd. People stepped back, some inhaled sharply, while a few let out murmurs of disbelief and others merely stood gaping. James watched, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. What had he unleashed? What did it mean? As the first bike rolled to a stop, the message in the air was painfully clear: those riders weren't coming for justice or revenge. No, something else was hovering just out of reach, dangling elusive like a dark secret eager to be revealed. That moment held the promise of chaos, the kind that could flip this sleepy town upside down. Would they recognize the man whose small act wove them into this tapestry of impending upheaval? And as the crowd grew silent, anticipation thickening, their thoughts aligned toward the same question: what next? A sudden hush fell over the street. The rumbling of the engines faded, replaced by an almost otherworldly silence that hung thick like fog. A shiver ran through the onlookers, their expressions a mixture of curiosity, dread, and disbelief. James stood frozen, the adrenaline coursing through him, a feeling both terrifying and electrifying. The lead biker, still gripping the handlebar of his roaring machine, dismounted with a slow, deliberate grace that spoke to years of dominance. His leather jacket glistened under the weak glow of the street lamp, showcasing a mosaic of patches and scars that told stories of battles fought and won. As he took a step towards James, the crowd collectively inhaled, breaths hitching in throats like the draw of a trigger. Was this it? Would they turn on him, expecting a debt to be repaid? But instead, the biker knelt to meet James's gaze, his eyes piercing, yet oddly warm. "You gave me something tonight that none of us are used to seeing," he said, his voice low and gravelly, cutting through the tension. "Respect." The word hung in the air, a strange currency more valuable than cash, the other members of the Hells Angels stood back, watching intently, a restlessness stirring among them. A soft murmur drifted through the gathered crowd like a breeze, rising and falling. What on earth was happening? What did this mean? And who was this guy? James's voice finally broke the silence, shaking but steady. I just thought. He paused, feeling their eyes bore into him, every heartbeat thudding louder than the last. It's just $8. It's not a lot, but maybe it could buy respect, you know. The biker chuckled, a deep rumble that felt oddly reassuring. Respect isn't bought, friend. It's earned. You just showed us a glimpse of something raw and real tonight. Something the rest of this world had forgotten. With that, he extended his hand, the rough skin calloused like leather. James hesitated, his heart racing. Could this be some cruel joke? But he didn't come this far to back down now. He reached out, shaking the biker's hand, a spark ignited between them, igniting something deep inside him he never knew existed. Behind them, the crowd swelled with murmured speculation, people inching closer, some stepping forward, magnetized by the drama unfolding before them. The lead biker turned, addressing the crowd, "We're not here to cause trouble. We're here to show appreciation. And tonight, we ride for you." A ripple of confusion coursed through the people. What kind of bike ride was this? Then came a loud roar, a motorcycle engine revving from the street. The sound sent adrenaline rushing through like lightning. The bikers straightened, rallying together, as one voice among many trailed off. "What do we ride for?" James stood by, struck dumbfounded, while the crowd shouted, "Respect. Unity. Freedom." Each chant crescendoed louder than the last. Flames of energy ignited, and the bikers revved their engines, announcing a twist in the night that no one anticipated. James had inadvertently sparked a movement, a congregation of rebellion that blurred the lines of their lives. As the engines roared to life and a chorus of metal and thunder rose, James felt himself being pulled into a whirlwind of power, but somewhere deep within him rested the nagging thought: what had started as a small act of kindness could spiral into something too big to control. In this new alliance, what sacrifices would they all face? What consequences lurked on the horizon? As the first biker tore off down the street, the crowd surged forward, uncertainty mixed with exhilaration. Could they keep up with this dangerous ride into the unknown? And then, right when James thought he'd grasped the situation, another biker broke away from the pack, weaving toward James with a grim look on his face. "We need to talk," he said, voice tense. In that moment, James felt a chill trickle down his spine. What could he possibly know? Whatever it was, it could change everything, and suddenly, James realized this was only the beginning. What secrets lay just beneath the surface? The urgency in the biker's voice sent a jolt through James, as if the electricity in the night had transferred from the roaring engines to this man's very words. The crowd spun into whispers, their curiosity palpable, almost sparking a frenzy. James's heart raced. What could this unknown biker want from him? His mind fought through the haze of excitement and confusion. "Who are you?" James managed to blurt out. A million questions clashed in his head, each more pressing than the last. "What do you know about me?" The biker, a strong-built figure with inked skin, leaned in, lowering his voice. "It's not just about you anymore, kid. Tonight stirs something heavy. You don't realize it yet, but what you did giving that money, it caught eyes. They'll be watching now." His eyes darted to the crowd, gauging reactions, before locking back onto James. "What do you mean they?" James felt a pit form in his stomach. The thrill that danced moments before began to morph into dread. Who's going to be watching? What'll they do? The biker exhaled, as if weighing his words. The Brotherhood, the Hells Angels, it's not just about riding. It's a way of life, and they don't take lightly to outsiders. You've been given an opportunity, but it comes with a price. The crowd pushed closer, tension crackled with every word, all eyes glued to this unexpected exchange. James felt the weight of their stares, the shock ebbing into a potent mix of fear and excitement. Opportunity? What do you mean? He asked, seeking clarity. But the biker's seriousness only deepened, and an unsettling grin broke across his weathered face. Don't play naive. You've got their interest. They might even want you to join. I don't ride. I just gave someone change. The protest felt meager, a struggle against the tides of chaos building around him. Exactly. You showed them something real, the biker interrupted, his eyes lighting up with fervor. They respect that. You're in the spotlight now. But tread carefully. If they sense you're not ready, you could be a target. A ripple of anxiety coursed through James. This wasn't what he signed up for. A dancer at the edge of a fireball, teetering on the brink of consequences he couldn't fathom. Suddenly, he felt small against the larger forces at play. Wait. What if I don't want this? He blurted. The crowd's energy pulsed louder, sensing the churning uncertainty. There was a collective intake of breath, the biker straightened up. You don't have a choice. You've stepped into our world, whether you know it or not. Prepare for the ride. Just then, a bike roared to life beside them, tires smoking against the asphalt. The other bikers revved their engines in unison, a foreboding thunder rolling out into the night. James's heart pounded harder. Was he ready for this? Could he really hold his ground? The crowd began to cheer, clapping and chanting once more, demanding James step into the center of this chaos. But another figure emerged from the ranks of leather and chrome. A woman with fiery hair and eyes that shone like coal, her presence commanding. Hold on. She yelled, cutting through the noise. It's too soon. You don't flip the script like that without warning. The biker beside James stepped back, brows furrowed. The tension in the air grew heavier, like a storm about to break. Who are you? He challenged, voice tinged with disbelief. Someone who knows the dangers, she shot back, locked onto James. And someone who knows what's at stake. You're not ready, and you need to hear the truth. Her words hung in the air like an axe about to fall. Everyone waited. Silence wrapped tight around them. What truth could shake this newfound alliance? James stood frozen, the fear of the unknown swirling in his mind like a swift wind, pressing tighter against his chest. What did she know? What truth could unravel this night further? As the crowd's energy simmered, James felt the ground racing beneath him, the path ahead far more treacherous than he ever imagined. Listen! The woman shouted, her voice slicing through the thick tension like a knife. James turned to look at her, searching for something reassurance, maybe, or simple understanding. Instead, her gaze was intense and unwavering, like she was staring down a beast lurking inside him. You're not in the game, kid. You're just a pawn in a much larger scheme, and the Brotherhood? They play to win. Trust me, they don't care about the $8 you gave that guy. It's about the spark you ignited. You don't know what you've walked into. James could feel his heart quickening. The chants from the crowd faded into a muffled background as her words dug deep into his psyche. Do you know what they do to those who don't fit in? Her voice was low, yet it rattled his bones. You'll be marked, hunted. They'll think you're a threat. You need to back off while you can. Are you threatening me? The biker interrupted, anger flashing in his eyes. But James couldn't focus on him, he was drawn to the woman instead, a magnet of intensity pulling him in. Not a threat, she replied, her steely gaze unyielding, a warning. They'll eat you alive if you don't watch yourself. As the roar of the engines intensified, the atmosphere became electric once more, each rev a reminder of the peril he faced. The crowd was alive, their excitement peaking. Go, James! They hollered, a cacophony of voices clamoring for him to make a choice, any choice. Damn it! The biker growled, stepping forward. You think you can just disrupt the vibe here? This is our moment. Before he could respond, the woman moved closer to James, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Look, if you really want to survive tonight, get out of here. Now. The urgency in her tone wrapped around his chest like a constrictor. Could he really just leave? The thought fought with his desire to prove himself, to stand tall and brave. But the weight of the implications clenched his gut. Just as he took a step back, a sudden roar shattered the moment. A motorcycle came racing down the street, cutting through the crowd like a comet through the sky. Its rider, an imposing figure cloaked in dark leather, was coming straight for them, and there was something terrifyingly fierce in the way he loomed over the bike, its growl resonating like a war cry. Get out of the way! Someone screamed, but the crowd was frozen, a stunned sea of faces. James's pulse surged as he caught sight of the biker's patch, Hell's Angels emblazoned across his back. Fear shot through him, freezing everything else in its wake. This was it. The moment of truth. Move! The woman yelled again, shoving him sideways. In an instant, the path in front of them opened as people scrambled. But the rider didn't slow. He aimed straight for the trio, and with a rush of adrenaline, James made a choice that he ducked away from danger, his instincts screaming as he leaped into the nearby alley, breathless. The noise faded behind him, but the woman was gone, vanished into the shadows of chaos. He spun around, searching for her, but found only fading cheers and the ominous rumble of engines. Then, he heard a voice calling out from the darkness of the alley. You shouldn't have run, kid. Not yet. Terror shot through him like ice. He wasn't safe, not yet. What had he just stepped into? His heart raced, pumping fear through his veins. Whatever came next was bound to change everything. Would he escape this grasping darkness, or was he in even deeper than he realized? James pressed his back against the cool, damp wall of the alley, his breaths quick and shallow. Darkness wrapped around him like a heavy blanket, the muffled chaos of the crowd distant, pounding like a heart out of sync. He could feel the pulse of the night thrumming in his ears, the excitement, the danger, the thrill, and it left him feeling trapped. That he turned toward the source of the voice, trying to see through the thick shadows. A figure emerged, stepping into a narrow band of light filtering through the alley's mouth. What do you want? James managed to croak out, his throat dry. The man, ragged and wild-eyed, shook his head almost sorrowfully. I thought you had more sense than that. You think running will keep you safe? You'll only stir the pot. From what? The guy on the bike. Why did he? James trailed off, remembering the anger, the speed, the overwhelming power of that motorcycle. Why did he come for us? He's not just some thug, the man replied, a hint of bitterness in his voice. He's the enforcer. Brotherhood beats the weak into submission. You play their game, you might stay alive. You step out of line, they'll bury you. A shiver ran down James's spine as the man's words burrowed deep. What had he stumbled into? Panic surged again. He thought about the woman, her urgent warning, her fierce look. Had she sensed this disaster? I don't want anything to do with them, James said, his voice gaining strength. I just wanted to survive. The man cut him off with a hollow laugh. You think that's enough? You joking? You've already lit the beacon. The Brotherhood's got you on their radar now, kid. If you want out, you'll have to do more than run. James clenched his fists, feeling the cool stone beneath his fingers. Was this it? Was escape even possible? Let them come, he hissed, fire igniting in his chest. I'm not afraid of them. That's what they thrive on, the man warned, cautioning him with a shake of his head. They see fear, they feed on it like vultures. It'll be a bloodbath. You think you're a soldier, but you're just a boy playing with fire. James's anger deflated. So what am I supposed to do? Just give in. Fight your way out. Face them head on. But know this, there's no winning here. You have to choose. Become one of them or get crushed under their boot. You need allies, but trust. That's another game. The sound of approaching motorcycles echoed in the alley, each roar vibrating the ground beneath him. James's heart sank. The chaos outside had not settled, it had multiplied. Get ready, the man said grimly. If you want to make it back, you'll have to act fast. James's mind raced. He thought of the woman. Where was she? Did she know about this? Did she even care? Who can I trust? He asked, desperation creeping into his voice. He felt like a puppet strung up, the strings crisscrossing around him, and each movement brought him farther from safety. Trust is a luxury. Just don't turn your back. And keep your eyes open. Before James could respond, the man darted back into the shadows, leaving him with his swirling thoughts. The motorcycles roared closer, piercing the stillness of the alley. The game had changed again, the stakes reset. With a deep breath, he turned to face the alley's entrance, ready to choose his path. What waited outside may be deadly, but James was determined to confront it. He had ignited a fire, and now, he had to decide if he would let it consume him or rise from the ashes. Then the sound of screeching tires echoed, and everyone's eyes turned as a gang of leather-clad figures skidded to a halt before him, their faces obscured by helmets, but their presence unmistakably threatening. Could he stand tall in the face of the storm, or would the flames of the Brotherhood swallow him whole? This was more than a choice, it was the defining moment of his fate. The roar of engines faded to a deafening silence as the leather-clad figures dismounted their bikes, their movements fluid and precise. James felt his pulse quicken, each beat drowning out his thoughts. Every instinct screamed at him to move, to run deeper into the shadows, but the alley's entrance loomed, like a gate to a world that promised either revelation or annihilation. One of the bikers stepped forward, his helmet gleaming in the dim light. The weight of his presence felt colossal. The others formed a semicircle, closing in, and James recognized the wildness in their eyes, hungry, fierce, utterly unyielding. They were predators, and he was cornered prey. What do you want? James croaked, trying to sound defiant despite the tremor in his voice. The lead biker took off his helmet, revealing a chiseled face marked with scars, an emblem of survival in a ruthless game. He grinned, a shark-esque smile, displaying too many teeth for comfort. Heard you've been running around playing superhero. Thought we'd give you a proper welcome. James swallowed hard, the lump in his throat painful. You've got the wrong guy, he stammered, his bravado wavering under their piercing stares. Oh, we don't think so, another biker chimed in, a woman with a fierce look and tattoos snaking up her arms like vines. You've been making waves. Got people worried, you see. And when you're in our line of work, worry doesn't go unanswered. An icy thrill shot through him. Waves. He was just a kid caught in a storm far too powerful for him. Just leave me alone. He shouted, the words escaping before he could think twice. A moment of stillness hung in the air, thick and tense. To his surprise, the gang laughed, a guttural sound of amusement mixed with menace. Alone. The man with the scars leaned in closer, his breath hot against James's face. That's not an option anymore. You're a player now, whether you like it or not. Player? I never asked to play. James felt desperation clawing at him, scratching for an escape route. Too late for regrets, kid, the woman said coldly, stepping forward, making the circle tighter. You've gotten our attention, and that's not something you just walk away from. James knew he had to think fast. Here, centered in a maelstrom of violence and bravado, he had only one shot to salvage his fate. What do you want from me? The lead biker met his gaze, a flicker of respect in his eyes. Show us you've got balls. Either you fold to the Brotherhood, or you step up and prove you can stand. What how? James asked, his mind racing. Come to the meet tonight. Be there, and find out if you're worth our time or just another lost cause. The biker turned, signaling the others to follow suit. Then you'll see what it means to be part of this world, none of this hiding in alleys and running scared. It's either join or get crushed. As they mounted their bikes, James's heart pounded in his ears. The gravity of their words pressed down on him, and he felt the pull of the dark road ahead. Wait! He called out, a wild thought spiraling in his mind. If I go, what do I get in return? One biker paused, a sly smirk crossing his face. Respect. In our world, that's the only currency that matters. As their engines roared to life, the vibrations rattled through him. The decision weighed heavy, each second ticking past with the tempo of impending chaos. Did he dare? Was he ready to step into the abyss, face the Brotherhood, and fight for his very existence? The bikers sped off, leaving behind a cloud of dust and a lingering dread. James looked down the alley, the shadows seeming to close in, waiting eagerly for his choice. What if he couldn't turn back? What if the path he thought he could take wasn't a path at all, but a trap woven with strings of blood and betrayal? Tonight would reveal all, but the question remained, would he be ready for what lay ahead? The sun sank low, casting sharp shadows that danced along the pavement. James leaned against a damp wall, the coolness seeping through his jacket, grounding him. The alley lay silent now, but the echoes of that encounter played on repeat in his mind, each replay a fresh wave of anxiety. What did he know about the Brotherhood? He heard whispers, half-formed stories in bar corners, rumors of violence and loyalty intertwined with a twisted sense of brotherhood. They thrived in the chaos, a swirling tempest of raw power that drove folks into the heart of fear. And yet, here he was on the brink of diving headfirst into that storm. With each passing minute, night crept closer. The neon lights from nearby bars flickered to life, casting an electric pulse as partygoers spilled onto the streets. James took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. Either he locked himself away indefinitely or stood tall against whatever was thrown at him tonight. There was no middle ground. Hey! Kid! A voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back to the present. It was a man, scruffy and wild, leaning against a bike that was as worn as him. You look lost. James squared his shoulders. I'm not lost. He was startled to hear the firmness in his voice. The man chuckled, revealing a gap-toothed grin that somehow conveyed warmth amidst the rough exterior. Yeah. Well, you will be soon if you're walking into that pit. He gestured vaguely at the parking lot where the bikers parked their bikes. They don't take kindly to outsiders. I'm not just some outsider, James shot back, feeling the fire ignite within him. I'm here to prove myself. The smile faded from the man's face, replaced by something more serious. Prove yourself. Kid, it ain't as easy as you think. Blood and dirt stain the ground for a reason. Respect isn't given, it's earned through struggles, losses, sometimes even lives. James clenched his fists. I have to do this. I can't keep hiding. I can't be afraid anymore. The fear never goes away, the man replied, now somber, as if he'd seen too much of it already. You'll just learn to dance with it. The man pushed off the bike, walking away. You might want to think about it a little longer, though. Think. I've thought for too long. James raised his voice, but the man shrugged it off and walked into the shadows, leaving James feeling even more isolated. That he focused on his breathing, struggling to calm the chaos within. It wasn't a game, it wasn't just a choice. The Brotherhood wanted grit, and if he played their game, he could risk everything for a sliver of control, a taste of the respect he desperately craved. As night fell, James found himself on the crowded sidewalk leading to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, the meat location crawling with anticipation and danger. Thrumming engines and rowdy shouts mixed in the air, creating a pulse that resonated through the ground beneath him. Fear twisted in his stomach, but also exhilaration. This was it. No turning back, looming shadows stretched across the entrance. It was time to face whatever demons awaited inside. He took a hesitant step forward, swallowed hard, and then another. The weight of expectation hung palpably as he approached, and then a sudden roar of laughter echoed from within, slicing through the tension. A pair of eyes caught his, piercing through the chaotic crowd. The woman from before, the tattooed biker, locked onto him with a fierce intensity that filled him with dread but also a thrill. She gestured him closer, her stance radiating command. Finally decided to show. She called, a challenge lingering in the air. James's heart raced. The moment hung suspended. Layer by layer, he peeled off the shield of fear shielding him. "I'm here to earn my place," he declared, surprising himself with the strength behind the words. The laughter ceased, shifting to silence. Eyes now bore deep, cutting glares filled with scrutiny. Would they see the warrior behind the kid? Or would he become just another ghost lost in the shadows? Each heartbeat pulsed like a drum in concert with the daunting shadows. This was the moment that could shatter or elevate him. But just before he could step inside, a distant howl of engines roared from beyond, a different sound, unusual and foreboding. "Did you hear that?" a voice asked, tension creeping into the air again. James turned his head instinctively toward the sound, a deeper unease settling in. "What's coming?" The bikers exchanged nervous glances. A shift in energy rippled through the crowd. He didn't have to wait long for the answer. A line of headlights pierced the darkness, bright and relentless. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. That is so much for a simple meet. The night was just beginning. The rumble of engines grew louder, drowning out the laughter and chatter that had just filled the warehouse. James felt his heart race in tandem with the roar outside. He glanced at the woman, her eyes narrowed, determination lining her jaw. "Stay close," she muttered, before stepping toward the entrance. James followed, muscles tight, instincts screaming at him to flee or fight. "What is going on?" he pressed, trying to keep his voice steady against the rising tide of uncertainty. "The Brotherhood don't take kindly to surprises. Especially not from outsiders," she said, her tone clipped, urgency radiating off her. She slid through the crowd, shoving past bodies until they reached the edge of the gathering throng. Bright headlights sliced through the darkness, showcasing a line of bikers, their leather jackets gleaming ominously under the moonlight. James could see the skull logos, each one a badge of danger. He swallowed hard, caught in the electric energy that whipped through the atmosphere. "They know we're here," one of the men muttered, glancing nervously at the faces milling about him. "What do we do?" "We wait." "Just like they wait," the tattooed biker replied, her voice steady but low. "We'll see what they're after first." The rumble of the engines peaked into a deafening crescendo before the line of bikes finally halted. Silence followed, heavy and foreboding. The gang members dismounted, their movements fluid, seasoned. Every one of them emanated raw confidence, a fearlessness that sent chills down James's spine. "What are they doing here?" he whispered, half to himself. The tattooed woman shot him a quick glare. "They're not here for a friendly chat," she snapped back. "Stay sharp." As if on cue, a figure stepped forward from the lead biker. A massive man, his long beard braided, eyes cold and assessing. A low murmur rolled through the crowd like a wave. Then, he raised his hand, palm open a signal. James held his breath. Was this the moment everything collapsed? Or could it be the chance he sought? The leader spoke, his voice deep and gravelly, dripping with authority. "Anyone who thought they could roll into our territory without consequence is sorely mistaken." The words hung like a storm cloud, and everyone shifted nervously. At that moment, the tattooed biker turned to James, her expression shifting to that of urgency and care. "You've got to run," she whispered fiercely. "Get out while you still can." "No." James's voice came out harsher than he intended, desperation edging it. "If I leave now, it's over. I want to get another shot." Her eyes bored into his, wavering slightly. "You don't know what you're asking for." Before James could respond, the air thickened with tension. The leader had spotted them, narrowing his eyes as he made his way closer. "You think you're tough enough to play with the big dogs, kid?" he asked, a mocking tone rippling through his words. The warehouse echoed with a silence that felt unshakable. James's breath hitched, the eyes of every biker burned into him, judging, evaluating. He squared his shoulders, refusing to back down. "I'm willing to take the risk." Laughter erupted from the leader, a low, rumbling sound that sent shivers down James's spine. "You got a death wish or just dumb bravado?" He leaned in, thick fingers curling around James's collar. "Prove it." His heart thudded, the challenge was clear. But as the crowd closed in, it wasn't just bravado on display. It was a test of loyalty, a step into a world he hadn't prepared for. Suddenly, from behind the leader, something moved. A flash of metal caught the dim light, then another. Whispers filled the air, panic rippling through the gang's ranks. "What the hell?" someone shouted, eyes wide in disbelief. As chaos erupted and bodies began to scatter, James realized the night had just been turned upside down. Shouts of alarm mingled with the revving of engines, the silence shattered like glass, and in that instant, he understood, he was standing on the brink of danger, and the Brotherhood was not the only group with a stake in this game, but who were the newcomers? Approaching their territory, and what would they bring? The weight of uncertainty loomed, and James braced himself. The real test was just beginning. The tension crackled in the air as shadows loomed in the doorway, growing larger with every heartbeat. James squinted, trying to make sense of the chaos unfolding in front of him. He could barely breathe as the sounds of engines roared again, cutting through the cries of confusion and shock. The lead biker, still clutching James's collar, turned slightly, eyes darting back toward the source of the disturbance. "What the hell is happening?" he growled, his face twisted in irritation. The crowd seemed to ripple like a disturbed pond as people scrambled back, desperate to put distance between themselves and the encroaching threat. Another figure appeared in the doorway, cloaked in darkness yet unmistakably commanding. An eerie calm surrounded him as he strode forward, the unfamiliar glint of a weapon flashing beneath the flickering light. More shapes followed. "Stand your ground." A voice boomed, sharp and merciless, from the newcomer. James felt his spine prickling, a realization settling in his gut. This wasn't a simple confrontation, it was an ambush. "Who the hell are you?" The lead biker spat, irritation morphing into something darker. "This is our turf." James's mind raced, connecting the dots that painted a picture of vengeance. He had heard rumors the Brotherhood had been at war with another group, a faction just as ruthless, just as powerful. But now, they appeared right in front of him, prepared for bloodshed. "Your turf." The stranger stepped into the light, a menacing smile playing on his lips. "What fun we're going to have, then." The words dripped with malice. There was something unsettling about the way he spoke, like a predator cornering its prey. Around him, tension twisted tighter. The tattooed woman stood firm beside James, eyes fierce, yet he could sense her fear. The collective body of bikers shifted anxiously, exchanging glances as if silently debating their next move. Before James could process it all, the new leader took a step closer to the Brotherhood. "You thought you'd get away with disrespecting us?" "No one disrespects the shadows," he hissed, spitting the last word like a curse. James's heart raced, a cold sweat forming as he realized the fragile balance of power was about to unravel. Voices rose, angry shouts blending into a cacophony of chaos. Heads turned sharply as a fight broke out, fists flying in a flurry of leather and rage. A heavy fist connected with someone sending a man tumbling to the ground. The crunch of bone, a cry of pain. Suddenly, the once quiet warehouse erupted into a full-scale brawl, chaos swallowing every desperate scream. James felt himself shoved to the side. "Hold on!" The tattooed woman yelled over the noise, her eyes wild with emotion. He could barely keep up. "Where do we go?" he shouted back, but the question barely registered in the storm of fists and shouting. "Back! We need to find an exit," she yelled, and they turned on their heels, darting through the alley of bodies. The metallic scent of adrenaline surged around them, but before they could escape into the shadows beyond, he heard a sharp crack that pierced the frenzy. It was a gunshot, echoing like a death knell. "Get down!" She screamed as the crowd surged again, panic erupting like an unseen monster. Time slowed. Fear dripped from his skin as he hit the ground next to her, the world around them a blur of rage and terror. "Who are we fighting?" James gasped, breathless, the reality of his situation crashing down like a weight. She glanced at him, eyes wide. "I don't know. But we have to get out now. This isn't a game anymore." Then, out of the corner of his eye, James noticed movement, a figure stumbling, clutching a gun. The fight was no longer just under control, it was spiraling into madness. And it was spilling over like fire raging through a crowded house. With each second ticking by, his choices were narrowing. He had to act, had to decide, run or confront a brewing storm. And then, amidst the chaos, that voice from deep within whispered urgently, "This is just the beginning." What more was lurking in the darkness, waiting to be unleashed? The world erupted in chaos as James and the tattooed woman scrambled through the throng of bodies, each move shaped by the booming threats that ricocheted off the warehouse walls. His heart thudded in his chest, a desperate rhythm against a backdrop of shouting and violence. The sudden gunshot had sent shockwaves through the crowd, a reminder that this was no mere brawl, lives were at stake. "Just keep moving," she urged, pulling him by the arm, leading him through the frantic environment. They weaved through tension, barely avoiding flailing fists and desperate screams. The air thickened with sweat, fear, and the harsh tang of adrenaline, a storm brewing. James felt the weight of the moment crashing over him. This wasn't just about him anymore, he had unwittingly become part of a much larger game. The act of giving $8 had spiraled into an avalanche, one he could barely control. He found himself glancing back at the chaos flooding behind them, shadows of warriors clashing in a world he had not asked to enter. "Where do we go?" he gasped, lungs burning. Adrenaline fueled his words, twisting his thoughts. "There's a side exit," she yelled, eyes darting around frantically. "If we can make it, we can get away before they catch up." Just then, another shot pierced the air, sending another scream erupting from somebody caught in the chaos. James's instinct screamed at him. "Let us move," he urged, feeling himself slip further into the frantic rhythm of survival. They pushed forward, weaving past a group of gang members who were too caught up in their fight to notice. The tattooed woman urged him onward, determination etched on her face. He admired her fervor but couldn't shake the fear of what lay ahead. The side exit loomed before them, a door parting the chaos from the unknown. Behind them, a roar of laughter erupted, the darkness of the bikers melding into something more malignant brought to life in this frenzy. As they neared the door, another roar echoed outside. A pack of bikes thundered down the road, their engines howling like wolves. The sight sparked a panic deep inside James. He could feel the night closing in, tightening around him like a noose, a cruel reminder of the weight of expectation. "Go. Now!" the woman shouted, pushing him toward the door. He touched the handle, hesitated. What lay beyond could be worse than what they were leaving, but he had no choice. He swung the door open, the cold night air rushing in like a breath of freedom. But there it was, the darkness encircled them again, and they stepped into the thin light from the street lamp, their shadows sprawling across the pavement. Engines roared closer, bikers were visible, obviously hunting. Panic jolted through him. "Over there!" she yelled urgently, pointing to a nearby alley. They sprinted toward it, their sizes launching them into a world of uncertainty. But just as they ducked into the narrow space, James caught a glimpse of headlights sweeping over them, shadows dancing ominously across the wall as bikers reared their machines, emboldened hunters on the prowl. "Here!" She pulled him further down the alley, heart pounding like drums against the silence. "We need to hide." They pressed against the damp brick wall, breathless, their bodies trembling together as the throaty growls of the motorcycles reverberated through the air, stirring fear into the core of James. Moments felt like eternity stretched thin. They held their breaths, hearts echoing their panic. Outside, the sound of revving engines faded into a hushed whisper. The bikers were searching, moving like shadows, their intent unmistakable. Do you think we got away? James whispered, desperation glimmering in his voice. Not yet, she replied, her eyes scanning the alley's entrance. They'll find us. I can't go back, he admitted, feeling tears prick at the corners of his eyes. I can't face them again. No one is going back to anything, she said sternly, resolve shining through her fear. You've got guts, kid. It's raw like your heart's on fire. But we need to fight. Find a way to take back control. The rawness of her belief sent a rush through him. It ignited a flicker in the depths of his chest. What do we do? He breathed as the shadows continued to move just at the mouth of the alley. There was no chance they would find refuge here without developing a plan, a strategy, something to counter the chaos. First, we listen, she instructed quietly, a calm gathering in her voice. Then we act. Stay silent and don't move until the time is right. The weight of the moment began to settle as they leaned back against the cold wall, their hearts synchronized, waiting for whatever storm was about to break. In that thick silence, a realization took root. His journey wasn't just about survival anymore but about standing up, facing the storm head-on. We won't let fear win, James said, the fire returning with urgency. Whatever happens next, I'm with you. She met his gaze, and for a fleeting moment, hope flickered like a distant star. Good. Because we're about to rewrite the story. In the shadows beyond, a roar pierced the darkness. The dueling bikers had begun to clash once more. As the chaos surged, they knew they were on the cusp of something critical, a defining moment that would echo long after the dust settled. Action had to be taken, it had to be bold. James pushed off the wall, stepping into that swirling chaos, shoulder to shoulder with his unforeseen ally, ready to confront the legacies that had cast him into this fight for his life. The time had come. They would face it together, light battling dark, and whatever awaited them would be met with the strongest force they had, their unyielding will to survive. And as the first wave of motorcycles roared past, James felt the electric rush of a storm waiting to be tamed. Tonight, they would reclaim what was stolen, kindling the embers of their new journey, with fire in their souls and unity at their backs. What choices they made next couldn't be undone, but no matter the consequence, they would emerge from the flames ready to rise anew. Now, this is the moment to show your support for our story. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you won't miss any of our exclusive tales that are coming your way. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help our community grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions to this epic conclusion. We want to hear from you, and don't wait even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to witness this thrilling finale. Let us keep the fire burning.